Hey y'all, welcome to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And it's part 4, motherfuckers, on the story of Eugene Debs.
Yes.
I've been trying to figure out how long this story is going to go because the issue I'm running into Eugene is he's like the anti-Lyndon LaRouche because Eugene just keeps doing good things. And so I'm constantly finding stuff to talk about. I have made a rule in my head, and I think I've been able to set certain boundaries that this is just going to end at 6 parts. Because he just keeps running for president. He keeps starting organizations. He just keeps going. And each story is more ridiculous than the last. And, so I'm going to try really, really hard to keep this to a 6-part series. Lyndon LaRouche will always be the king of having 7 parts because
that's right.
That could have been 14, but god damn it, I was done.
Right. And this one, you also get like a little dopamine hit because he's doing good.
Right. Yeah. It's, I've been thinking it's harder to make jokes when someone's constantly doing good stuff because there's less to make fun of.
Yeah, it's so much harder.
Yeah. Like there's only so many jokes that we can make about Eugene being not the best husband.
Truly. And that's his only fault? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That he's just absent-minded towards his wife, which during the time is still passing the bar easily.
Huge. Yeah.
Which I hate to forward the time this guy, but goddamn. So anyway, when we last left Eugene Debs, he'd formed the Social Democrat Party and was strong-armed into running for president. He lost pretty badly, which resulted in him having a what's the opposite of cathartic? Mentally destructive, maybe.
Catharsis is like a release. So maybe pent up volatility.
Yeah. He had a night terror without being awake about a boar constantly falling back into a swamp, and no matter what he did and no matter how many times he tried to pull it out of the swamp, it kept falling back right where it was, and then he woke up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That isn't a manifestation of one's depression.
It's horrifying. It's probably one of the scarier things that I think I've read in this podcast, and with it being Eugene Debs made me feel horrific that it happened to him.
No.
And so he had this dream, very much enacting himself as sort of a Louisiana Sisyphus, and, felt really down about the election. However, everyone else in the Social Democratic Party thought this was a humongous win because they got more votes than their nemesis in the Socialist Labor Party. And that alone was enough for them to declare victory.
Right, because who needs an actual victory when you're petty as hell and left-leaning?
Look, a moral victory has no set limitations. It can be anything as long as you, define it ahead of time. So, alas, as is American socialist tradition, that happy camaraderie would be very short-lived. Arguments and debates were to be had, and the Social Democrats were shortly overcome with one of the oldest questions in all of socialism. What is the best way to create a long-term socialist society? And lucky for us, there's basically 2 sides to this. And they're like a snake eating itself. An Ouroboros, if you will, which I know I pronounced wonderfully.
Ouroboros?
Right, there we are. It's the original Greek.
Say my atrocious French accent.
Oh my god, it is probably French, isn't it?
No, I think you're right. It's probably Greek.
It's one of them. It's Europe.
It's Europe.
So on one side, you have the folks who believe in electoralism, which is the general idea of we elect socialists into the government, eventually we get a majority, and then that majority creates a socialist society based on the laws that they pass. And this fits in with the right wing of the party. In the left wing of the party, they say, no, that is impossible. Actually, at the time, they called themselves impossibilists because of this. I don't know what the term is now. I did not care to look it up.
It's not a great rallying cry.
It looks terrible written.
Yeah.
But they state that any form of electoralism is bullshit and will never work. What you need to do first is make the society socialist, and then the government will follow.
Can't you do both?
No. One has to go before the other, and I will tear apart this political party just to make it so.
Continue.
Yeah, I was going to say, this sort of attitude is why you will never be allowed into a socialist party from around this time.
Good. Well, I wouldn't anyway because I'm a woman.
Well, we'll get to that. We will get to that. There's like a yay girls moment. Go women.
Oh, yay. Oh my God. Did someone lean in?
Yes, I did also just listen to that Books Could Kill.
Hell yeah.
It was so good. So terrible and so good. So the impossibilists are on the left wing of the party, and their theory is, is more along the lines of that what we need to do is not be patient, but dismantle capitalism as soon as possible, and then we'll be okay. So this debate became a sticking point for the party's convention in July of 1901. At the convention, the impossibilists won a major victory by getting the demand for an immediate end to capitalism on the party's platform by a vote of 82 to 30. Which, look, I hate capitalism, but any large scale system that kind of, greases the wheels of society coming to an immediate halt is not a good plan. You got to ease people off capitalism, slowly but surely if you're going to do it.
Yeah, like the French went full revolution to end like a autocratic monarchy
Mhm.
situation. And like, long term, did it work? Who's to say? They were back with a king like
Yeah.
not 3 decades later. And for
Look,
what? A lot of beheadings?
if Robespierre was just a little more patient, he might have lived longer. Who knows? He might have got that religion that he wanted based off himself. So yeah, so that gets put into the Constitution, which, fine, whatever. So the downside, though, is this new influx of party members from the Socialist Labor Party, who were mostly leftists, led to the abandonment of all farmer and agrarian policies because they didn't believe that farmers were members of the working class. Would you look at that? It's the other socialist argument that never fucking dies. Who's really the working class?
God damn it. Not the whole purity debate.
Look, if baristas were working class, I guess then we'd support their unions. But they're not. The coffee growers are working class, but not for these people because the coffee growers are agrarian. It's bullshit. I hate it so much.
It's the worst.
It's so much time was wasted last summer with people debating whether or not baristas were working class. And it's like so much energy that you could have used to put somewhere else to not just yell at strangers on Twitter. But it's fine, fine. So it's fine. Anyway, so the other big decision at the convention was a renaming of the party. This is because some East Coast kangaroos, who were the people who left the Socialist Labor Party, had continued to campaign under the Socialist Labor Party, just in open defiance of Daniel De Leon, their narcissistic leader. And to cut down on the confusion, the new party name that unified the Social Democrats and the Kangaroos was the Socialist Party of America. Just clean, simple, surprised it wasn't taken.
Truly, I thought it had been.
They moved their national headquarters to Eugene's least favorite city, St. Louis.
No.
And so this probably happened in part because Eugene was avoiding the convention like the plague. We've previously established that Gene found Das Kapital too boring to finish. He was disinterested in the finer bickering about theory. And, he still really hated negotiating and compromise, which is all that happens during conventions. It's just minor nitpicks and yelling and a free lunch. One of the more interesting facts I saw about Eugene is that for the next 24 Socialist Party conventions, he only attended one.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, fuck him.
Yeah, a lot of it is that he just didn't want to be the figurehead and leader dictating the party. That the delegates should decide what the party is about, and they shouldn't just be going off what he wants most.
Just, of course, makes him the perfect leader because it's the one who doesn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, the newly minted Socialist Party was very much like Eugene in that it never solidified a specific theory that members had to follow. The only two things that members had to agree on to join is that the class struggle was real and fuck capitalism.
I feel like those are broad enough.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a very, very fair barrier for entry for a socialist party that is accepting of all theories. And it did result in a very big tent party of multi-theory socialists that, yes, had arguments, but completely avoided the trap that Daniel De Leon had with the Socialist Labor Party, which was dictating appropriate theory until the party completely fractioned itself apart. And while Eugene didn't care for theory, he did find a new way to risk breaking the party apart. By 1902, Gene had developed a plan to grow the party for the next election. And what he was going to do is he was going to spend the upcoming year speaking to various unions across the country and encourage them to join the new political party en masse. And effectively, it wasn't a bad plan. He had made friends with all sorts of unions, especially more radical ones. And after the Pullman strike and the plummet of the People's Party, there was an open lane for a party focused entirely on labor rights. That said, not every union was a fan of Eugene and what he was doing. Most notable amongst this was the American Federation of Labor, or the AFL. By this point, the AFL had grown into the largest and most powerful union in the nation and operated as a sort of federation union that Eugene had tried to create with the rail industry. The downside, though, is the AFL had chosen to work with businesses and affiliated with the Democratic Party. They had no interest in joining the ranks of the socialists and found them too far radical for their tastes and made it clear that they had no interest in dismantling capitalism. For the AFL, capitalism was working just fine.
Gabs.
Yeah. So, this wasn't great, but for the time being, Eugene would let this go. Within the Socialist Party, this began to create some pretty hostile factions. The right wing, which is led by the very man who introduced Marx to Eugene in that suburban jail all those years ago, Victor Berger. Victor believed that harassing the AFL was a bad idea and would lead to the AFL banning any members from joining the socialist cause in the long run. Gene, for now, simply disagreed and moved on. But he did disagree just enough to force the party to move its headquarters from St. Louis to Chicago in 1903. Things might have gotten a little more heated, but it's 1904 and it's time to focus on elections. The incumbent Republicans unanimously chose Theodore Roosevelt, who became president after an anarchist assassinated William McKinley. Conservatives in the GOP.
Buffalo.
Yeah, right in Buffalo by Charles Gatineau, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So conservatives in the GOP did not like Roosevelt. The whole reason that he was made vice president is it was where politicians' careers went to die. And they figured, we'll put him here and we'll never hear from Roosevelt again. And then,
but then guess who really did die?
Right.
Oh no, the actual president.
And so now you got Teddy Roosevelt, who, is full of charisma
and vigor.
And, he's just a fun guy. He's got a pince-nez. He's fucking shooting shit. He has all these Rough Rider stories and everyone goddamn loves him. And as a consolation, the conservatives did get to pick Roosevelt's VP. And Roosevelt had a decent amount of momentum going into the election thanks to the dual punch of fighting to break up monopolies and being really good at advertising imperialism. It's like Manifest Destiny, but now the whole world gets to experience it. Maybe, who knows, so watch out.
Now we take the ocean.
Yeah, God thought some fucking water could stop us. No, fuck that.
I beat asthma as a child. Literally beat it with my two bare fists in the woods.
I reached into my lungs and I beat up asthma. God damn it. Have you seen our Navy? It's pure white. The symbolism is obvious.
But there's a teddy bear and we're rolling in that dough too.
Yes. And so then you have the Democrats with the job of trying to find someone who could actually best a man like Theodore Roosevelt. And they select Chief Justice of the New York Court of Appeals, Alton Parker. Now, in the modern era...
appeal, was that one of the catchy lines?
That would have been infinitely better. This was a poorly decided campaign.
Yeah.
And not because
the Democrats said. I'll stop right there.
Their allegiances towards conservativeness might have changed, but always been bad decisions all the way down. So in our modern sensibilities, picking a chief justice of a court of appeals is probably a weird choice. But Alton Parker had grown a reputation for being absolutely beloved by both Democrats and Republicans in New York. It had actually gotten to the point that Parker was so beloved that the Republicans refused to run anyone against him. He was also known as a bourbon Democrat, which is someone who is fiscally conservative and classically liberal, or as we call today, a moderate Democrat.
Wait, a bourbon Democrat?
Bourbon Democrats.
We need to bring this back.
It's a much better phrase than a blue dog Democrat, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I say that realizing that it's like, it makes them sound cool when like you and I and everyone younger than us is desperate to become more progressive. So maybe let's not like hand them a win so quickly.
Yeah. I wonder how many more months Kirsten Sinema would have gotten if she was a bourbon Democrat.
She would have retitled herself a margarita Democrat, and then the jig would have been up.
Oh my God, you're right.
She's a vodka crayon Democrat.
Oh God, that is a cursed universe. I don't like it. So the weird thing about him being a moderate Democrat was, as a judge, he was extremely pro-labor. He was noted for actually looking into labor issues and studying them on his own and not going with the popular opinion of like unions are evil and people should work 50 hours a day.
He actually did his job.
Yeah, he was one of the few judges to declare the 8-hour workday or workday maximums to be constitutional.
Hey!
And so, so for a world in which monopolies were a very huge issue and labor rights were becoming more and more of a mainstream thing, not a terrible guy to pick. And then they fucked it up. because they had to pick a vice president, someone who would really work with this guy. And they selected a senator from West Virginia named Henry Davis. At the age of 80, he was the oldest man to ever be placed on a presidential ticket at the time.
80 in 1904?
Which, who
Woof.
knows? If he's 80, he might live forever.
In those years, you've managed to sidestep every known pestilence.
One of the reasons that he probably did is that Henry Davis was mind-bogglingly rich.
Oh, there it is.
He started not just a coal company in West Virginia,
Oh,
but a
no.
railroad and coal company.
Means of
And
distribution as well.
yeah, it's a perfect setup. But then to make him even richer, he started a coke plant with his son-in-law that became the largest coal facility in the world.
Holy cow.
And the reason the Democrats did this, because look, a guy who has a company town and the largest coal business in the
Oh my
nation.
God, being placed with the most pro-labor judge of his time.
Yeah, their whole idea behind this was they believed that Henry Davis would take some of his personal money and use it to fund the campaign.
No, because rich people are stingy. That's
Yeah.
how they stay rich.
Right. That is, yes, 100 fucking percent. That's exactly what happened. Henry Davis just donated the bare minimum, and
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah. Does Eugene Debs look like he's rolling in it? No, because he literally gives it all away.
Yep. Oh my God. It's a weird analogy, but when I worked in the liquor industry, extremely wealthy people do not buy good wine or liquor. They buy name brands and things that will signify that they're probably rich, but they're not going out and trying to find the best of what they can find. That's typically what, more like middle class people are like, even, people who are deciding, I want to treat myself this time around. I buy one bottle of scotch a year, and by God, I'm going to make sure that it's good no matter what the price is. And rich people will buy a case of Jack Daniels and move on. I don't know. I was rewatching Gilmore Girls, and there's a moment where the Gilmores are like, "Ooh, let's find that gin that this guy really, really likes." And then they pull out a bottle of Tanqueray, and I'm like, this is incredibly accurate.
Someone new. Yeah.
Yep. Not bad gin, but if you're a fucking millionaire, come on.
Yeah, I mean the joke about old money is that everything you hold on to all these antiques and even like, daddy and mummy's clothing is like because you're not paying for new things.
And so the Democrats absolutely whiff on this.
Damn.
As for the socialists, 183 delegates meet up in Brand Hall in Chicago, of which 7 are women.
Ooh la la.
And the average age of the attendees to this convention is 39.
Hey.
Once again, despite his pleading and begging, Eugene was the unanimous choice to run for president.
I mean, obviously, come on now.
For vice president, they went with a newspaper printer by the name of Benjamin Hanford. Ben was born in Cleveland, moved to New York City, became a member of the Socialist Labor Party, then turned kangaroo 6 years later. Hanford also had a good chunk of experience as a nominee, seeing as he'd run for governor of New York 3 times and mayor of New York once. He never got above 3% of the vote, but he was incredibly popular among socialists. And this is because of a short story that he had written that introduced a sort of goofus and gallant, sans the goofus, folk hero for socialists. And it's to be a fellow by the name of Jimmy Higgins. Jimmy Higgins does all the stuff that really makes the socialist movement work. He hands out flyers. He cleans up the hall after the speeches are done. He keeps fighting the good fight, even though he's been blacklisted from every company in America. And yeah, so Jimmy Higgins is like the rallying cry behind these people. In 1919, Upton Sinclair would write a book called Jimmy Higgins about
I love it.
the misadventures of a socialist.
Incredible.
Yeah. And so that's mostly where people attribute that to nowadays. Since monopolies were such a huge issue for Roosevelt, Gene went on the attack with the claim that Theodore's actions would, in the long term, never work. Gene's theory was that if capitalism still controls the government, then they're going to find ways around trust busting and just recreate the monopolies by different means, or just wait for a more business-friendly president to allow them to reconsolidate their power.
Wow, this is really triggering for me right here, right now in 2024. But please continue.
Yeah. Oh no, it gets worse. It just like Gene. It really sucks what Gene saw coming. It just blows beyond words. So Gene thought the only way to destroy monopoly truly was to destroy the system that made monopolies possible to begin with, and elect socialists to do just that.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Socialist Party also had a stronger push for campaign donations compared to not a push at all the first time around. This time around, they asked members to donate half a day's pay to the campaign, and this netted Debs $35,000 or $1.2 million in today's money.
Wow.
Which, compared to other people running in the current election right now, that put him at around like fourth or fifth in most well-funded.
Okay. But does that take into account the fact that all of the GOP's money is currently going towards Trump's bond?
Excellent point. Very excellent point. No,
Okay.
but that's other people's money. That's not their campaign money.
That's fair. That's fair.
So the real bummer about the 1904 election is Roosevelt is such a charismatic and interesting dude that not a lot of people actually wrote about how Eugene did in 1904.
Oh, he just totally eclipses it.
Yeah, it's like it's his first time winning an election. He just throttles the Democrats. He wins 336 to 140. The
Wow.
Democrats, if I remember right, got 37.5% of the vote. It was just pure destruction. He won Missouri for the first time for the Republicans since the Civil War. It's, it was a really big deal. But Eugene really didn't do that bad. He got 403,000 votes nationwide and was just shy of 3%. In California, he got 9% of the vote.
Ooh.
Eugene also finished second over Alton Parker in Rock Island County, Illinois, and also in the best county in the nation, Ska-mania County, Washington. And yes, I know it's Scamania, but it's Ska-mania. Fuck off.
Yeah. Put on your dickies and your pork pie. We're going to Ska-mania.
Yes. And sure, they lost the presidency. But rolling into 1905, the Socialist Party won mayorships in Anaconda, Montana, Manitowoc, Wisconsin, got 10 city council seats with about 9 of them in Milwaukee, held 6 state representative seats, including 2 here from Chicago, and won their first state senate election in Wisconsin. So compared to the pig nightmare, Eugene's reaction was far more positive this time around. And I'm grading on a curve because it's still not super positive. Quote, industrial depression is upon us. Socialism grows amazingly. Within 4 years, it is possible the socialists will sweep the country. Women are taking an active part in the propaganda. They're in revolt against the system which damns them. Industrial cooperation must be the basis of the coming republic. We're fucked. Vote for us.
Debs, you want to maybe hit on something hopeful at all?
I already mailed it. Sorry.
Wait. What do you mean you hit send?
Look, Kate said it was cool, so whatever. Going into the new year, Eugene got to rest for about a week. Supposedly, he just spent all of his time in bed eating and listening to music.
Been there. This man gets more and more relatable.
Look, I hate the fact that he was such a millennial in a time that would not have wanted that. I mean, they barely want us now. So he took a week off for work and then waded right back into the leftist arguments that were erupting within his party in the wake of the election. So Eugene made it really, really clear that the only way to grow the party was to get every possible union on their side. But to do so, Eugene was now advocating for something a little more aggressive, I guess we could say. He wanted socialists to run for leadership positions in their unions and take over the union. So not, I see where he's going with this, of having a political party just kind of, take over a union. I don't really agree with it. Like, it's a little underhanded and kind of weird, but especially coming from Eugene, but I see what he's trying to say here. So reiterating the argument of the AFL of just wanting to be left alone and had no interest in socialism, this new salvo of like, hey, we should actually try to take over the AFL from the inside just pissed them off further. Gene, however, was less fond of the idea of leaving them alone and said, quote, a laborer who doesn't vote for the Socialist Party is just as good as a scab, which I believe you said earlier.
Scabs!
Yeah.
Yeah, Deb and I, we're like this. And for the listeners at home, I am crossing my fingers.
Yeah, there's no wanking motion on this. There has not been a wanking motion yet, which is, I think, a record.
They're wank-free episodes, my friends.
So, with this fiery salvo, Gene went and did what he did best. He started a brand new union. The goal was to, once again, create a federation union that allowed all trades and industries to join. The major difference from the AFL, though, who was doing the exact same thing, was that the union would be entirely just for socialists.
This is the ALF, the American League Federized.
Yeah. God, I wish I could remember that Monty Python joke of just like the Federation of Socialists are now mad at the Associated Federation of Socialists.
No.
So in June of 1905, Eugene convened a group of union heads in where else but Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
In total, 200 people attended what would be the first official meeting of the Industrial Workers of the World, or IWW, or as they were eventually nicknamed, the Wobblies. attendees. Amongst the 200 attendees were some of the biggest names in radical labor in the socialist movement. There was Big Bill Haywood, who represented the Western miners. There was anarchist Catholic priest Thomas Haggerty, anarcho-communist Lucy Parsons, and teacher-turned-union organizer Mary Mother Jones. But most surprisingly in attendance was socialist nemesis Daniel De Leon,
Leon.
who was invited there by Eugene. Because Eugene figured that if there was going to be, a union truly made for all socialists, then he probably had to invite Daniel to this fucking meeting.
Okay, but is this one of those things where it's like he's being too pure for his own good?
No, he actually invited him.
No, but I mean, like, was this a good idea?
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh,
because, yeah,
no.
this does cause problems.
Yeah.
So a bit of a spoiler, the Wobblies still exist to this day and can be thanked for quite a lot of innovations in the labor movement. For one, membership was not just limited to white men. In fact, anyone at all could join regardless of race, sex, or citizenship. So Eugene finally gets his way with this.
Yes. All right. We are moving forward.
The welcoming of immigrants in particular made the IWW very powerful in Minnesota, where Finnish and Swedish immigrants held a membership between 5 to 10,000 people.
Hell yeah, they did. Skull.
The only barrier for entry was that you had to have a job that paid either a day wage or an hourly wage. And the one exception, though, is that anyone with a union card from another country could join immediately. Secondly, the Wobblies are credited with the creation of what we know today as the general strike, which is when participants not only walk off the job site, but also cease all economic activity. So no buying groceries, no taking public transit, just a full halt to the machine of capital until demands are met. We tend to see this a little less and less, but it's definitely a national general strike is one thing that a lot of socialists and leftists have been trying very, very hard to get off the ground for always.
I mean, I see the call for it all the time, but on social media where the algorithm has like sent it to me 4 days later.
Yeah. And even that, it's really hard to break through into people who, when you have a large amount of people who are like blocking a road doesn't lead me to your cause. And it's like, that's not the point. It's trying to stop capital. That's all that does. And it's kind of, to talk the finer points of a general strike is definitely one of the biggest hurdles in getting to a general strike. But who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
So the second that the IWW was created, Eugene drew a line right down the center of his own party. Victor Berger had been putting up with Gene fucking with the AFL all this time, but creating a whole rival union was a step too far. Berger felt that all this would accomplish was a complete blacklisting of socialist activities in the AFL, if not an outright ban of any members joining their party. The right wing took to their papers disavowing the IWW and Debs, accusing both of trying to split the labor movement. And Debs retorted back, and I'm paraphrasing here because this is one of the few moments where Eugene really lets his temper get the better of him. And it essentially boils down to, I bet Victor Berger never actually worked a job in his fucking life.
Oh, shots fired.
I bet he's never worn overalls to work. I bet he's just a fucking poser. And there's probably no reason he actually leads a labor union. It's probably just for the money and the acclaim.
Show me your time card, Vic.
So about that, Victor did get back to him. Turns out Victor Berger had worked a trade job for longer than Eugene because by this point, Ray Ginger brings up Eugene himself probably forgot he only worked for the railroad companies for 3 years before becoming the head of the labor movement.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, and so Victor absolutely had worked longer in a trade than Eugene has.
Oh, no.
And does have the bona fides to go with it.
Oh, no.
So Victor did follow this up by saying that he felt the AFL was still winnable, but if they kept pressing with the IWW, then it made the work that he had been doing completely impossible to fulfill. And from this moment, Eugene and Victor maintained a cordial yet icy relationship. And before you feel bad about this, I do feel inclined to note that Victor Berger was an intense racist and eugenicist. Yeah, so there's at least an easy way to dislike that guy. But hey, if Victor Berger isn't your racist friend anymore, why not strike up a weird buddy time with noted asshole Daniel De Leon?
Every time I keep thinking you're going to say Daniel Day-Lewis.
It'd be slightly better.
So method, he even goes back in time.
After founding the IWW, Debs and De Leon found themselves speaking at the exact same events and formed a sort of weird, amicable acquaintanceship, which I didn't know was a word. It is actually a real word. Sort of like the Mythbusters. They don't like each other, but they're not going to let that get in the way of work.
Wait, they don't?
But still, it's two people who should be mortal enemies getting along together in public. So now, the Kangaroo Caucus and the Socialist Party are beyond furious. They left the Socialist Labor Party because Daniel De Leon was becoming a dogmatic fuck. And here's Eugene palling around with him, being friends with his fucking son, Solon De Leon, just chilling out. Yeah. So the way this story typically goes when this happens is that this party splits in two. Victor Berger departs with the right wing to start their own socialist party. Everyone loses power and momentum, and the movement dies while people argue in small rooms over whether Trotsky really meant to use a semicolon in some obscure letter that he wrote to Lenin. But this one time, something would keep this from happening. Something called murder.
Bum, bum, bum.
Thunder here.
Yes. Wait, what?
Yeah, we got a murder on our hands. We're turning true crime in this bitch.
Finally!
It's been a while. Una, there have been so many weird murders that have happened from people who ran in 2022, and I have not had the time to talk about it.
No!
We'll get to it, but
Give me more murder.
oh my God. Well, just to let you, yeah, a dude who ran for Congress in Nevada as a Republican in 2020 or 2022, who's like a failed WWE wrestler, murdered a guy in a casino and just got arrested for it.
Oh no, he tried to chokehold someone.
I mean, probably he is on record at a Waffle House saying, quote, I like to hurt people.
No, all of this is so incriminating.
So we'll get to him in due time. So, all right, we got to hop in the time machine, go back a bit. To introduce a guy named Frank Steunenberg. Frank was a newspaper publisher in Caldwell, Idaho, and he turned to politics in 1889 as a member of the Idaho Constitutional Convention, and this led to his election as a state representative the next year. He only served one term, but was an early success for the People's Party. In 1897, he was nominated by the Democratic and People's Party to run for governor, and on an extremely pro-labor platform, he won the election at the age of 35. Unfortunately, Frank was elected right before one of the most violent labor riots in the nation. So in 1899, miners at the Bunker Hill Mining Company began unionizing with the Western Federation of Miners after years of horrible pay and news that the company had awarded over $600,000 in dividends to investors. Yeah. So when mine superintendent Albert Birch caught wind of this, he announced that he would shut down the mine and keep it closed for 20 years instead of recognizing the union. And following this, he fired the 17 miners that he thought were leading the union, and then told all the other people who'd signed up for the union to quit.
Woof.
And this kicked off a strike.
Good.
So other Western Federation of Miners members in the area began planning on how they could best help out. The plan they came up with was very aggressive. Let's go with aggressive. Wasn't the best plan, but it sure was a plan.
It was a plan, yes.
So a couple miners got together and stole a train. The conductor of the train says he was held at gunpoint. He might have been, or they might have just took the train. And so they take this train and make stops at every mining town along the way to where the strike is, just picking up miners at each step, as well as boxes of dynamite. By the time they get to the strike, there are 10,000 miners on this train.
Oh, damn.
Also on the train is the county sheriff who supported the miners. But when the sheriff got off the train, he saw about 100 to 200 miners being given masks and guns. And so he hops on top of the train and is like, whoa, guys, let's stop for a minute. Let's really think this through. Everyone ignores him.
I'll take a deep breath. Oh, no.
Yeah, everyone ignores him. And he makes the statement that trying to stop them would have been suicide, which probably true.
Yeah.
And so this small little militia amongst the thousands of others orders the scab workers out of the mines and the mill. 2 workers didn't leave fast enough and were shot to death.
No.
And by scab workers, one of them was a scab. One of them was a union member on strike who was just in the wrong place and got caught in the crossfire.
Guys.
But now they got the bloodlust in them. So you gotta keep ramping it up, otherwise that energy has nowhere to go. So they took 3,000 pounds of dynamite and brought it into the mill, then detonated all of it.
Holy shit.
There is a picture of the aftermath of the explosion, and it literally looks like someone just exploded a forest.
Wow.
After this, they burned down the company office, all of the boarding houses, and the home of the mine manager. And once that was all done, all 10,000 miners hopped back on the train and went home.
Wow.
Studenberg, seeing no other option, asked President McKinley to send federal troops, which he did, and martial law was declared. The federal troops then proceeded to arrest 1,000 men just on the assumption that if they lived in the general area and were dudes, they were probably involved. So,
Ah,
according to witnesses at the time, they arrested miners, but they also arrested doctors,
yeah.
teachers, priests. Just if you're a dude, you're getting arrested. If you did not answer your door immediately after the first knock, they broke it down and then dragged men out of the house.
Holy shit.
These 1,000 men were put into makeshift prisons that were freezing cold. They got like
Mm,
very little food, maybe a blanket to share amongst a few of them. 3 prisoners ended up dying while in captivity.
wow.
Also,
Oh,
amongst the 1,000 who were arrested, this included 2 county commissioners and the county sheriff who said, hey guys, maybe we should stop this.
come on. A cock up.
It would take 8 months for all of the prisoners to be released. And it was like a slow dribble of people being released over this time. But after 8 months, everyone's finally released. No one is charged with anything.
Ooh, ooh, furious. Ooh.
And martial law remained in effect until January of 1901.
Mm.
So this left many people in the labor movement kind of a little pissed at this governor who ran on a very pro-union, pro-labor platform. And they were so mad with him that he decided he was not going to run for a third term and was just gonna back into the drapes, just be done with it. Which brings us to December 30th, 1905. As we say here, if it's the full date, nothing good's happening. So Frank Stubenberg walked up to the gate of his home in Caldwell, Ohio. And when he unlatched the gate, it triggered a bomb that instantly killed him.
Oh my God.
Within a day, a miner going by the alias of Harry Orchard was arrested. Now, I wanted to believe that this was a frame up, they just arrested the first dude they could find, but by all accounts, Harry Orchard fucking did it. And I know this because he spent 40 years of his life saying he did it.
Okay.
Also, when they got to his hotel room, there was like bomb making supplies just strewn about. He did not try to lie his way out of it. He just got arrested and immediately said, yeah, I did it. Fuck you.
Yeah, I got TNT dust on me. What are you going to do about it?
He also had a very long history of violence, which we'll talk about later when it becomes important. So essentially what happened is Orchard was staying at the Saratoga Hotel in Caldwell, and he walked into the lobby and saw the former governor there visiting people, and he ran to his room, grabbed some blasting caps and bomb making supplies, ran to the governor's house, fixed up the bomb on the gate, and started walking back to the hotel. He passed the governor on the way there, and when Harry Orchard was 2 blocks away from the governor's house, that's when he heard the explosion. So where the story gets fucky is, it's pretty traditional at this point. It gets fucky when the Pinkertons get involved.
Ooh.
Because it's not good enough for Orchard to admit guilt. There's got to be someone who set this guy up. And yes, all signs point to Harry acting alone. But after hours of, Pinkerton brand physical interrogation, Orchard signed a 64-page confession confessing to a 12.5 bomb-related murders and pointed the finger at a miner by the name of George Pettibone, the president of the Western Federation of Miners, Charles Moyer, and IWW co-founder Big Bill Haywood. And all 3 of these men were arrested in Denver, Colorado, and extradited immediately before lawyers could get involved. The Pinkertons gave a quote to the Chicago Tribune claiming that 3 men would, quote, never leave Idaho alive. Eugene viewed this sudden arrest as a direct attack not just against the labor movement, but against the IWW in general. In a very risky op-ed, Debs claimed that if the 3 men were put to death, then the state of Idaho would have to face 1 million armed workers ready for war.
Yeah, fuck them up, Debs.
Yeah, it's the publication that he published this through is based out of Girard, Kansas, and was known for making very inflammatory statements within their journal. And even when they got it, the 2 guys who owned it passed it between each other, saying, "Nah, you decide if we publish this or not. I don't really know."
No.
But eventually they did publish it. But suddenly, all the bad blood between the AFL and the IWW disappeared. Federation and craft unions joined together to support these men who had been, in their view, unfairly arrested for a crime that they clearly did not commit. Elections in theory went straight to the back burner, and all that mattered in the party and in the labor movement was saving Haywood, Moyer, and Pettibone from the gallows. However, 2 of the most important people to Eugene would not be there for him this time. In the spring of 1906, his mother died of natural causes. And 7 months later, his dad passed away as well of, dare I say it, a broken heart.
Oh.
To quote Eugene, I never knew my mother until she died. We never know anyone until they're dead. Then we understand their work and we love them for it, whether or not they succeeded. Right? What the fuck?
Where is he gonna go for Thanksgiving in Terre Haute?
I mean, Kate's still around.
Yeah.
Also, at this time, Kate's brother died too, and that was like a huge hit for him because Kate's
Oh,
brother was the one who gave him money all the time.
oh, well, this is awkward.
Yeah, and was like his personal banker.
Oh no.
So yeah, so he's lost a huge chunk of family. So now it's 1907. The trial's yet to begin. The trio of defendants had attempted to get the Supreme Court to move the trial out of Idaho because, they're probably not going to get a fair trial in the state. But the Supreme Court refused and set the court date for later in the year in Boise, Idaho. In 1907 would also be the year that Eugene would barely get to see Kate. Eugene became obsessed with saving Haywood, Moyer, and Pettibone, and for nearly the whole year, he spent his time crossing the country for support. He took up a job as a contributing editor with that journal in Kansas and moved to Girard, Kansas to do this, and got $100 a week, which was enough to keep him alive. He harassed a senator by the name of Edward Carmack of Tennessee until the senator agreed to enter the details of the case into the congressional record, and he spoke. Everywhere he went, he spoke to whoever would listen until his voice was shot and he had to begin seeing a doctor in Cincinnati to fix his throat and had to undergo a throat surgery just to fix his ability to talk.
Yikes. I can only imagine what that was like in 1905.
My God. Yeah, I don't know what sedatives even existed for that at the time.
Opium, baby.
Oh my God, you're right. He didn't feel a thing.
Morphine.
He was fine. He was great. But probably the most depressing thing in this is Ray Ginger tells a story of a young socialist was on a train to Denver and he saw Eugene curled up on a chair, just passed out drunk. And he tapped Eugene's shoulder and Eugene starts awake, but he recognizes the guy immediately and gives him like the warmest welcome and hello. But mid hug, Eugene just breaks down into sobs and just tells him like the train went through Terre Haute and I didn't even have an hour to see Kate. He's becoming a better husband.
Oh.
And he's just sobbing on this like 20-year-old shoulder. And the guy's like, I know, Gene, I know, man. And he like gets him to sit down and go
Aw.
back to bed. So on April 2nd, 1907, the trial is set to begin in Boise, which is just enough time for one more bit of fuckery to tip the scales. In a press conference, President Theodore Roosevelt made an offhanded comment that some random railroad tycoon was just as undesirable as, quote, Debs or Moyer or Haywood. It's a quick moment, but it's also a moment in which the president is making it very clear that he thinks at least two people in a trial are guilty before the trial has even begun.
Yes.
So Roosevelt does retract this statement after enough newspapers get pissed at him for doing this, but he decided he was going to keep Eugene Debs in his crosshairs for the entire duration of the court case. And the thing though is this kind of backfired because while the two men exchanged barbs, it just made the media more excited to cover the case. And this ended up leading to massive protests in most major cities in support of Pettibone, Moyer, and Haywood. Thousands showed up in San Francisco, 20,000 showed up in New York City, 50,000 people protested in Boston in support of these men.
Hell yeah.
But while Debs had fought hard to get the public on the trio's side, they were probably fine to begin because they had gotten probably one of the best lawyers that they could have at the time, Clarence Darrow.
Our boy.
Clarence Darrow is back, and he still is not. He has no time for games. Darrow began his plan for the trial just before it even began by telling Eugene, "Do not come to Boise." Eugene was planning on doing this and was crestfallen when he was told not to come. But Clarence Darrow was right in the way that he thought, the justice system is still controlled by capital. And if Eugene shows up, that's going to scare capital. And that's going to more than likely get these men sentenced to death. So just stay away. I got this.
I know how to speak to capital. I know how to walk slowly towards capital with a little nibble in my hand. You're just gonna wave your arms at capital, and capital's gonna get scared.
Yeah, no one could be Chris Pratt from Jurassic World towards capital. So as for the trial itself, Darrow made the whole case hinge on the testimony of Harry Orchard. Harry's was the only testimony that the government had that pointed to the defendants. Everything else was hearsay or circumstantial. So all he had to do was discredit Orchard. And this ended up being a very easy thing to do. During cross-examination, Orchard admitted on the stand that he had worked as an informant for the Anti-Union Mine Owners Association, so essentially was working both sides and getting money for it, that he'd previously accepted bribes from the Pinkertons, and that he'd been blowing shit up illegally long before he met any of the defendants. And this was on top of the feds relying on the testimony of a man who has committed arson, insurance fraud, abandonment of multiple families, bigamy, breaking and entering, petty theft, a different kind of insurance fraud where it was the insurance that was fake that he was trying to sell to people. The other insurance fraud is he burned down a cheese factory and collected the insurance money.
Incredible.
Sheep rustling and murder.
Damn.
He did also admit to planning to kidnap some children for ransom, but the plan didn't really work out, so he didn't
Just
do it.
never got around to it.
I know. Look,
Bucket list.
you're busy stealing sheep and doing all kinds of insurance fraud. You know, stuff's gonna slip through the cracks. Some kids are gonna end up having normal lives and no PTSD.
Yeah.
Later on, Orchard would end up admitting that he had actually tried to frame Pettibone, Moyer, and Haywood because the Western Federation of Miners hadn't hired him for a job and he just wanted some revenge. So after 2 months of the trial, the jury deliberated for 9 hours and acquitted Haywood. The following trial for Pettibone also resulted in an acquittal, and sensing the same would happen to Moyer, the government dropped all charges against him.
Hey.
As for Orchard, he was sentenced to death for what he had done, but a future governor of Idaho would remand his sentence to life in prison.
Wow. Very humane. Okay.
After this, Orchard would convert to Seventh-day Adventism and died at the age of 88 in the 1950s.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a life.
Yeah, there are some historians who believe that he was a true psychopath and just a very violent individual for the sake of enjoying it. So no hero there.
Sounds like it.
But as is typical of the Eugene Debs story, victory can't seem to come without a differing, gutting defeat. And while he was away from the IWW fighting to save Pettibone, Moyer, and Haywood, a new sect had taken over the Union. So a new idea had kind of formed within the Union that, you know, not just capitalism is bad, but socialism is also bad because that's a form of government, and government is bad.
No.
And what should be the governing body of society is the unions. And individual unions should be making decisions and helping out on a sort of regional or local basis. This is also known as anarcho-syndicalism.
Oh no.
Anarchy was a pretty big thing at the time, and yeah, anarchists took over the IWW. And by 1908, the anarchists, now led by Big Bill Haywood, who was not sentenced to prison, held the majority of the IWW, and all political references were removed from the Union's constitution and have never been placed back in. So now the Socialist Party was severed, and seeing no other option, Eugene left the IWW.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we're back to square one again. Now, here's the part where I would start talking about the 1908 election. But the 1908 election is the first time that we really start getting a lot of information about Eugene on the campaign trail. And there's a lot to cover because guess what? Victor Berger's still trying to pull some shit. Victor Berger would very much like to take the Socialist Party from Eugene Debs. And we got to cover all of that in the next fucking episode.
Oh my God.
It's like, this is a short one because I don't have the time to go into this fucking election because god damn it. It's fucking wild with bullshit and nonsense. Fucking William Jennings Bryan is back. He is back. The Democrats are going to nominate this motherfucker again because they are not tired of losing. It's god damn it. So yeah, so we got to save that for next time. Next time I go a little bit longer because we have that election to talk about. There's 3 more elections we got to talk about. God damn it. I just have to manage time right on this. Eugene just doesn't quit. He's on the ground. He's beaten. He's at this point he is suffering from rheumatism, constant headaches. His grief is fucked because he's speaking like 3 to 15 times a day.
Damn.
Like, there are rumors going around that he's half dead. It's like,
oh my God, so he's King Charles?
Yes, he is King fucking Charles.
But, you know, not a terrible person.
Yeah. If AI pictures were around at the time, you'd be getting weird pictures of him with like fucked up hands that don't quite enter his shirt properly. It's a rough time for Eugene, but god damn it, he's gonna keep going because he loves everyone and doesn't want to be president.
He just wants the best for people.
It's painful. It is fucking painful to read about this man. I had read a thing that said Eugene Debs was too good for this world. And it's like, yeah, really my only complaints with the guy is that, you know, he probably could have gone harder against the people who were racist in his own party.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not great, but god damn it. Fuck.
Maybe try to like St. Louis a little bit more. It's not a bad city.
St. Louis. St. Louis can eat a dick. You and your weird ass pizza and that I really love. But Yeah, so thoughts, feelings so far on this?
My God. I mean, between the Roosevelt and the sheep rustling,
Right. This has easily been the most chaotic episode of Eugene Debs.
I know,
Everything
and I
else
love
is
it.
kind of by the book and expected, but for a sheep stealing murderer to show up and kind of save Eugene's party just from existing is kind of wonderful.
I mean, I also look forward to just even more moments where history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Yeah, yeah. It's not great reading about a guy saying that industrial depression is on the horizon, but that's a good thing because that means we'll win. It's like, oh man, I just want to give you a hug. You're right,
Yeah.
but fuck. Give it, I don't know, 20 years, 22
Like,
years, you will be
bro,
right.
we keep thinking we're watching its last gasping breath, and it always finds an iron lung, my friend.
Right. It is so weird looking at all the various places where socialism really thrived, because
Yeah.
Skamania County in Washington is not a hotbed of progressive activity. And, we talked about the communists in Northeast Montana who took over the area for a period of a decade. That was essentially the communist capital of America for quite some time. And to know these places are hyper conservative now is
Yeah.
just mind blowing because like I'm sure we're gonna get to the point where socialism as an idea is murdered by World War One in the federal government, but we can enjoy it and its growth for now.
Yeah, yeah, with its normalcy in a sense,
Yeah,
that it was just like
it
it
really
wasn't a dirty word yet.
Yeah,
The
I
way
mean it is, but you at least have the anarchists who are there to get the brunt of all the fury because it was anarchists who killed the president, and the Bolsheviks haven't started, and we're still on the edge of like Stalin and Lenin and the really really
right.
dark parts of Russia.
Yeah, yeah, and even with like the forms of communism, we're even years away from communism being okay because they were
Mhm.
also fighting the fascists,
Right, right.
and then we lost that.
Well, we can enjoy it for now. And, but yeah, I mean, I guess join us next time where Eugene keeps getting forced along into trying to save people. And he just deserves to get drunk at home. Like, just have a bottle of cognac with Kate and chill the fuck out for 50 years.
He needs to live in the age of Netflix where he can have like a
Yeah.
little self-care night.
Yeah, yeah. Well, on that note, I guess we'll see you next time with Eugene Debs just going further and further into failure despite his best attempts here on Gadfly. Da, 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 da. Ugh. Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?